Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Strawberry Hill Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Simmons, and as always, we're here at the Shop Cigar Lounge. Like I say every episode, if you haven't came and seen us, please do. We got some big events coming up. We got the third Friday Art Walk, Smoke on the Hill coming up that I just put out today. Please come out and visit us. That's the last art walk of the year, so you got to come and see us. It's going to be a lot of fun. And before we get started, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Make sure you follow us on social media platforms at Strawberry Hill Podcast. And today we have Mr. Andrew Kump, Commissioner, running for Commissioner at Large.
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Welcome on the show, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I do want to say, if you haven't been to the shop, you have to come down. They've got great live music, great selection of cigars. Yeah. Just a cool spot in Strawberry Hill.
You've been in here a couple of times.
I've been in here. I came in, they had a live band.
Yeah.
I mean, it was some smooth jazz, just easy listening. You know,
every Friday and Saturday, man.
Yeah, never hurts to spend a weekend down here. You know, spend a little money at a local business, too.
Small business.
Small businesses are important.
Yeah. So I guess, when we get started, tell the people like who you are, where you're from.
Sure. So my name, Andrew Kump. I'm born and raised in Wyandotte County. Dot original, as they say. My dad was a police officer with KCK PD for 27 years. He retired in 2018, I believe. Mom was a nurse. Now she's kind of does teaching, but she worked at KU forever. I've got 4 siblings. We all grew up in Wyandotte County, went to Bishop Ward High School. I met my wife at Bishop Ward High School. Went on and got my degree at University of St. Mary out in Leavenworth. Yeah. Played some football, didn't go pro, didn't plan to, right? And then after University of St. Mary, I went out to Creighton University up in Omaha and got my law degree. So that was actually the only time that I haven't lived in Wyandotte County was when I was living in Omaha for that. So, it's been great. This campaign has allowed me to really spend a lot of time in the community, and it's a county-wide election, right? So spend time in all 4 corners of the county and just get out and talk to people. And a lot of people really, that resonate with that. I'm a Dot original. I've grown up here. My family's from here. So it's that's just a little about me, and I'm just excited to kind of be out here. And
I'm sure that you get the what I call them the Wyandotte County questions every time you go somewhere. It's like, what school did you go to? You went to Ward. They're like, what street you grew up?
Yep. I grew up, spent a lot of time on Cernich, and then off of Orville, 6 and Orville. Actually, you can see the house from the shop, basically. And then sometime out in Piper. So I've lived
everywhere,
kind of out west, middle, and east of the county. But you get that is the Wyandotte County
and
question.
Then they always the third is always just like they find out your name, like, oh, do you know this person?
Yep. Because everybody here is separated by 1 degree, And then one you also get, that I get is, and who's your wife? What's her last name?
Yeah. Is she from Wyandotte County?
Yeah, exactly. Is she from Wyandotte County? Where'd she go? And then the whole question's all over again. Yeah.
I tell people all the time, it's like Wyandotte County is like one of the few places probably in the country that has like more civic pride in a county, not the city but the county.
Right,
we have our own shirts.
I mean, the original Dot. It is something that it's really unique and special here, and I'm like most people, I'm proud to be Wyandotte County, proud to be Dot.
It's one of those things where it's like if you're from Wyandotte County, you're the only one that can talk bad about Wyandotte
exactly.
County. It's like if someone else talks about it, you're like, no. Like, you ain't from Wyandotte. You can't say nothing. It's like that. Like no. We're from Wyandotte County. We can say whatever we want.
We can own it, you know. But even though we're on the Kansas side, we're still we're still the Chiefs and the Royals.
Oh yeah.
So we get the best of both worlds. We get to claim those as well. Yeah.
So tell me why you are running for Commissioner at Large.
Yeah. So this is something that I've been interested in my entire life. Obviously, being from here, this is home. I want the best for my community. My family lives here. My friends all live here. But also, we're at a point right now in the county that things aren't getting done as efficiently as they could be, in my opinion. And I think we need some fresh blood, some young ideas on the commission to bring some new leadership. Like I said, being from here, I'm invested in this community. Yeah. I'm committed to Wyandotte County. And like everybody else, like you and everybody else, I want what's best for our entire community. So, I was a little hesitant initially, not for lack of will, but I'm a cancer survivor.
I didn't know this.
When I was in law school, actually, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. Didn't, I finished law school after the diagnosis because
What type of cancer?
testicular. So, but it had spread up to my abdomen and then my lungs. And I have a cool scar here on my neck. Yeah. So 12 rounds of chemo, 4 surgeries. So I'd wanted to do this for years, but the timing, obviously, with a health battle, it wasn't possible at that time. My doctors had told me, you're not healthy enough and you don't have the time. You'll be doing this. So in May, I spoke to my oncologist, had a follow-up, and I told him what I was thinking about doing. And he said, well, I've got good news for you. You've been in remission now at that point for about a year, and we think you're strong enough and healthy enough to do it. So, I think the next day after I got that news, I got a team together and we went down and filed.
So this is like recently.
Yes, I was diagnosed in, it would have been 2020. March of 2020, and I was declared in remission in 2023.
I didn't know any of this.
It's not.
I know you don't go around like
right.
telling and bragging about it,
but it's also, I don't advertise it necessarily, but I would like people to know, not for sympathy points, but I know what it's like to get that unexpected medical bill that you forgot about or didn't pay, and to have kind of your life turned on its head a little bit. So I think it's made me more resilient and definitely made me more passionate for the people. Particularly in Wyandotte County, I had people reaching out to me who I've never met. Like we talked about, everybody kind of knows everybody to a degree. People, I know your mom. I went to school with your dad. You don't know me, but I'm fighting. Like I'm thinking about you. I'm praying for you. So that really inspired me to want to give back to those people. And I didn't plan on leaving Wyandotte County anyways. But after that, I was like, well, I can never leave. Like this isn't something you get everywhere. This kind of community.
That's crazy. I didn't know anything. About that.
I think it's given me a perspective. Definitely a perspective.
You get a new
on
perspective
life.
on life. I've talked to a couple cancer survivors on this, and it's like they just have this thing. That after they go through that, it's just like you get a new view on life.
Right.
It's like there's a lot bigger picture to it.
You get a newer view, and also when things get difficult, it's like, well, I've done much harder things than. I take that to my professional life as well. I'm an attorney. We have contentious negotiations. Things get hard. I'm not a litigator necessarily. I do mostly contract negotiating, and that gets, when there's a lot of money on the line, that gets, it can get kind of catty.
Yeah.
So when I'm discouraged or when I'm feeling, unsure, I just remind myself I've done much more difficult things than this, and that always kind of grounds me and brings me back to, helps me refocus on the goal.
Well, good for you, man. I'm glad you're still here.
I appreciate that.
I'm glad that you're running and doing your dream. Like
I appreciate that. Yeah. I've always been I got a political science degree. I've always been a politics nerd, for lack of a better term. So being able to have this opportunity and then make it to the general has been, I mean, I've been very humbled and very grateful to be here.
So now I'm kind of wondering, you went into school for politics or political science, stuff like that. So where did that come from?
I don't know exactly where it came from, but from a very young age, I remember staying up with my parents to watch the results of the Bush-Gore election as they came in on TV. I've just always had an interest, not necessarily in the forward-facing part of politics, like the public image, but really the policy and the kind of the analysis behind how do we make things happen? What can we do from a policy standpoint to achieve things? I've always been interested in shaping policy as long as I can remember. So it was just a natural step for me to kind of get involved. I'm married now. I bought a house, so it's just a good time for me. No kids yet, so I have time still.
You have time.
Yeah,
I was about to ask, you got any kids? Because that takes away a lot of time.
I've got 2 blue healers, which they're feisty, but nothing like kids. So I've got time and energy, and I don't, maybe it's because my dad worked for the county, and politics have always kind of indirectly impacted his life. That may have started it, but it's just as long as I can remember, I've been interested in the policy of politics.
That's cool. Well, good for you, man.
Thank you.
I'm like bombarded. I'm like, wait, what?
No, that's the reaction I typically get because, candidly, you look at me, you don't think, oh, cancer survivor. I look like an average 31-year-old man. I've got some wicked scars I could show you after the podcast if you want to see.
Don't promote those on your campaign.
Yeah.
So tell people, what does a commissioner at large do? What is the role of a commissioner at large? Because, people think commissioner, they think their district.
Right.
Commissioner at large is the whole entire county.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a little different. So, we have the commissioners that have districts. What at large is, it's still a voting commissioner. So I would, if I'm elected, I'd vote on legislation at the commission meetings, and I would be a part of those. However, other responsibilities are the at-large commissioners will serve as mayor pro tem if something happens to the mayor where they can't serve. We actually, I know Tom Burrows, who was an at-large commissioner, that's the seat I'm running for. He served as mayor pro tem for a while. So it's that additional responsibility. And then the at-large commissioner can make appointments to certain boards, like economic development board, for example. So you have all the responsibilities of a commissioner of a particular district, but you represent the entire county.
Yeah.
And it's a little confusing because the primary for the at-large commissioners are not countywide.
Yeah.
So mine was the southern half of the county. So districts 2, 3, 6, and 7. For if you don't have your district map up in front of you, that's the southern, basically I-70 South.
Gotcha.
So that was the primary vote. But now for the general elections, because it's a countywide position, the entire county will vote like they'll vote for the mayor or for the school or the KCK school board. So it's a very important role. It's a lot of responsibility because you're trying to balance the interests of the entire county while also trying to drive policy by making appointments and by if it comes to it, serving as mayor pro tem. And then at that point, you have the responsibilities of the mayor. So I think obviously important, and one of my passions is kind of educating people on these responsibilities because the saying all politics is local, that's really true. I mean,
it is.
Your daily life is much more likely to be impacted by your local politics.
Yeah, the local politics are the most important thing.
Yes. So when I meet people, and that's a very common question I get, I try to explain, here's what they do, but also here's what they do in addition to a non-at-large commissioner.
So when you were putting your name in the hat, is that the position that you wanted, is commissioner at large?
Right. That is what I wanted. When I was thinking about running, I didn't have, like at-large commissioner necessarily. That's the one that's up for election this year.
Yeah.
So I live in the 3rd district. That election, I believe, is in 2 years still. So the at-large commission.
I'm not waiting that long. I need to get it now.
Well, I'll probably have, kids and additional responsibilities at that point, which, I don't think they'll impact my ability to govern.
No.
But it's a strike while the iron's hot mentality. Like I said, we bought our house, my wife and I. We'd lived actually in the old Casa Linda apartments before.
Oh, really?
Just up the street from the shop. We'd lived there, and we finally found a house. So moved in and got settled, and I don't want to call it a lull because we're all very busy, but in terms of how busy we were prior to, the health news, and it's just the time is right now. And I think, this is a very important election in the county.
It is.
I mean, this is very pivotal. The results of this election are going to impact us, I think, for the next 15 or 20 years, potentially. So I want to make sure that I believe I can do it. I believe I can do a great job. I'm qualified to do it. So I wanted to get involved now. I didn't want to, maybe a little impatient, but I didn't want to wait the couple of years.
No, good for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I saw one of your hit points on your campaign is development.
Yes.
So what do you mean by development? Like wanting more or new development, more development downtown?
So I want to be very clear on development because, it's tough to get on those websites and narrow down the points.
Oh, yeah. That's why we have this.
Exactly. And that's why these are so important, these kinds of shows. I want economic development. I want large economic development, but we have to include small businesses in this conversation. That's one of the points I made very early in my campaign. It's great that we can attract business, and let's be real, we need business in our county to survive. We need the influx of property tax and sales tax. Yeah. But the incentives that we offer large businesses we should have similar or the same incentives available for mom and pop shops.
You ain't kidding.
For people who live here, who have lived here, who have their families here, and I mean those people. Like you have a vested interest in seeing Wyandotte County succeed. Yep. You live here, you have your business here. You've put a lot of time and effort and money into this county. So why shouldn't you have the opportunities and to have talks about TIFs and abatements the same way that we have that discussion about, large out of state investors. Something else I want to do in terms of spurring economic development is I would love to see the barrier to entry to market cheaper and more reduced for small businesses. So, I owned a small business for a while. You own a small business, so you know how expensive and time consuming it can be.
Yeah.
And when you're a small business, you don't have a lot of money in the bank to be able to afford to, pay rent on your property, and then you're delayed because you didn't get your permitting yet. Well, you still have to pay your rent every month, but you're not bringing money in. We need to factor that in in small business discussions, because that first 2 years is so crucial. And I think everybody would agree we need small businesses to survive. So I'd like to cut through the red tape and just make the barrier to entry cheaper. And I'd also like to make the filings and the fines cheaper for small and local businesses. I think that is equitable. I think it's, they're taking a leap. You're taking a leap by opening your business, and we should be able to work with you to make sure you succeed.
Yeah.
But in terms of large developments, we need those large developments as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we need both.
But we can find that balance, and we can't put all of our eggs in large development baskets and then kind of turn our backs on the people who built this community in the first place.
Yeah, because I see there's always the big discussion of development out west. I kind of see it now as that's where all the big development goes. That's whatever. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. I don't mind that. But we need to focus on everything, I guess, east of that.
Right.
And we need to start developing more small businesses down here, especially downtown.
Yes.
Because we always talk about how we're jealous of what KCMO has downtown, but we don't want to invest anything in our downtown.
Right.
And I think that we need to start investing, and we need to bring in more development and bring in more small businesses, and attract the big boys that come here to want to build up downtown too. They want to invest money, and we need just the right people that can see it and want to invest in it and want to, take that next step in it. And I'm hoping that we were able to do that.
Right. And, it all feeds itself. The more development you can get east of 635, we'll call that the demarcation line. The more development you get there, the more attractive you are for families. The more families you have, the more property tax you raise. The more property tax you raise, the more you can invest in infrastructure. The more you can invest in infrastructure, the more likely developers are to look at that market. So it's a ecosystem, and we need to grow that ecosystem. In Wyandotte County, there are over 1,000. I checked. It's been a couple weeks, so I looked at the number, but I want to say about 1,100 commercial buildings in the land bank that are available. Jesus. Many of those are downtown.
Yeah.
So we have the facilities. Now it's a matter of attracting the right businesses and empowering those small businesses that are looking for that storefront. I mean, we can do it. It's not going to be a quick, easy fix. Nothing is, but we definitely we're attractive for a lot of reasons as a centrally located city in the country with access to a major metropolitan in Kansas City, Missouri. It's just a matter of putting in the work and giving small businesses the tools they need to succeed.
Yeah. So I know you're not in office yet, and, let's just say you are. One of the biggest problems down here that we face in the Strawberry Hill district is these bridge closures.
Right.
For the love of God.
Oh, I know.
It's we have two major bridges that are closed, and we don't see that there's any long-term solution or short-term solution. And it's I know that they are hearing our voice, but it's we have to do something about that, especially the World Cup is coming next year, and we have no access to downtown, truly.
Right.
And so it's I'm asking you, what can we do, or what would you do?
And, that starves this economic zone. That cuts off people from Missouri who want to come and spend their money here. It gets too difficult. If you're thinking about going out and you're okay, we'll go, and you see, the bridge is closed, it's going to be another 15-minute commute.
Yeah.
Forget it. I'm just not going to bother, or I'll spend my money on the Missouri side. So it's hurting businesses here as well. And one thing we can do, and what I've talked about at length, is there is a lot of money available at a state and federal level for infrastructure. Even in this kind of political national ecosystem where we're talking about cutting, there still is a lot of infrastructure money available, but they're not just going to give it to us. We have to go there and ask for it. I would love to see more grant writing in the county.
Yeah.
Because that's the bread and butter of a lot of small and local communities and governments is you have to apply for this money. I believe it was about 2 months ago, the state of Kansas invested over $4 million in a community out west. I want to say Great Bend, but don't quote me. That might not be the right city. So there's money out there. It's just a matter of getting the right people in a room and explaining to them how detrimental it is to have those bridges closed and how negative that impacts our economy. Yeah. And also, especially now with the World Cup coming up, how poor of an image that will be to an international stage.
Yeah, because you're talking about an influx of over 600,000 people that are going to be here.
Yeah, and
you're going to make it harder for them to come over here.
Right, and that's going to leave a poor taste in their mouth. You know, I remember I drove through Indianapolis one time. No offense to any Indianapolis listeners. And my only...
You're not running for anything in Indianapolis. Yeah. F you guys. I'm just kidding.
And this was 10 years ago. But still, my only memory of Indianapolis is it was so hard to get around because the roads were so poor. I don't want to go back to Indianapolis. I mean, that's a real... That impacts our tourism and that impacts the money we can raise. So I think definitely we need to go out and fight for that money. That's paramount.
Yeah, 100%. So I was on your website and everything, and you had something that said long-term growth.
Right.
Like, what does that mean to you?
So long-term growth means I want to attract. I talk about short and long-term growth. I want to attract businesses in the short term that are going to, build their businesses here and hire workers here, but I don't want them to leave in 5 or 10 years if their incentives expired or if it just isn't a good fit for them. I want to attract businesses that are going to be here for the long haul, that can hire my kids, right, in 30 years. We have to build sustainable economic growth, and that's a big part of that. So when I talk about long-term growth, I talk about businesses that are committed to our county, are committed to our community, and are here for the long term. So those are the people I want to talk to, and those are the economic investment opportunities I'm looking for as a commissioner.
Yeah, because we see so much, well, not so much, but you see these companies come in, they get their tax abatements, and then as soon as they have to pay, they're like, all right, we're out. And I think you're right. Like, we need people that want to stay here and invest in the community, invest in the growth of the community.
Yeah, that buy-in. I want that buy-in from them as well. That's so crucial, and I think a lot of that can be kind of fostered. It's just a culture of doing business in Wyandotte County. Yeah. Traditionally, we've been a pretty open for business county. I think lately, in the last 10 years or so, that's kind of shifted, and we need to redevelop that culture. But also let those businesses and developers know that if you need support, we're here for you. But you also have to do your heavy lifting as well.
I'm glad you said that, because it's like like you said, we've been open for business for a long time, but it's like we're not attractive enough to bring in business yet, because we can be open, but like we have to be able to work with people. Right. We have to be able to not make it easy for the big companies, but like we have to make it easy for everyone that wants to come in to, have a business here and hold up your end of the bargain. Like if you're going to donate so much to schools or do this and that, like, whatever part of your building plan, like I think people need to be held accountable. And I think we're doing that now.
No, and I agree. We've seen some examples of that. Obviously I come from a legal background and I do contract work. So I take what we put on the contract that you signed very seriously. And I'm not intimidated by investors. I mean, without naming names, some of the companies I've negotiated with are $1 billion plus companies. So I'm not intimidated by the expensive attorneys in the nice suits. Yeah. I'm still going to hold you to what we bargained for, and that's what we need. Yeah. Right. But we also need to make it. I talked to a developer a month or so ago, and he had a proposal. I thought it was a very reasonable and long-term oriented proposal for the old Indian Spring.
That's on my question.
We're on the same wavelength. Yeah. Well, he explained to me that they took it to zoning and then committee, and it just kind of died, right? Yeah. There wasn't a lot of follow-up. He sensed that there wasn't a lot of interest. So he said, well, I'll just go spend my money elsewhere. So when I say we need to be open for business, I mean we need to be open to at least sitting down and having the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, if we run into sticking points, if we butt heads, that doesn't mean we just throw the baby out with the bathwater. It means we sit them down and say, point A, B, and C. Those are my sticking points. Those are the pain points, as we call them in negotiating. What can we do to get past that and make this work for both of us?
Yeah. See, I'm glad you brought it up because I don't know if you've been on Facebook. That's been a hot topic.
I've been on Facebook.
Yeah. And the whole Indian Springs and how the development's not going through and how they want to bring in money and development. And I know there's background stuff that we don't know, but it's like, we got to do something with that.
You know,
that's just an eyesore.
I drove by it the other day with my wife. We were going to a town hall, actually. And she said, it looks like a nature preserve at this point. It's just so overgrown. And, you know, I kind of agree. And it's unfortunate because I remember going to Science City.
Yeah. Fun Factory.
When it was still there.
Yeah.
So to see what it's become, it is disappointing, but it's also there's a lot of opportunity there to really build something that benefits that area of the community, but also generates revenue that benefits the entire county.
Yeah. Yeah. The more dollars that are being brought into Wyandotte County, the better for us.
Right. You know, that's my philosophy is I want to reduce the tax burden on individuals by having more money in the tax base. So if we can, if we can bring in another $10, $15 million in tax revenue in a year, that offsets what we'd have to potentially charge people who live here in their property taxes. Kind of disperses the burden. So we need these developments. We can't, we're in a bit of a budget. I hesitate to say crisis, but it's difficult.
It's difficult times.
Difficult
with our budget.
times.
That's one of my questions too. We'll get to that one.
Sure. Okay. I'll hold off until we get to that one.
You're good. We'll talk about it.
It's difficult times. I think approximately 44 cents of every dollar the county receives goes directly to debt servicing.
Jeez.
So, and that's bonds, that's loans and interest we have. So that takes our budget and kind of cuts it in half already. So we're not able to just cut our way out of this. I mean, there is a place, there are things we can kind of cut or reduce spending, but we're not getting out of this economic situation just by making cuts.
Yeah. I saw the budget and what our money goes to. And it's not I'm not sticking up for the UG, but we are our money is going to critical services that we need.
Absolutely.
But we just don't have a lot of money left over to do anything. So we have to figure out a plan to bring in more money to help those other places and services we need. Or the infrastructure, which was my next question is we have to figure out a way not to only help our budget, but we need to figure out how to bring in more money. Because with the cap we're working with right now, that's not going to cut it.
It's not. Yeah. And like you said, a lot of our budgets, I've reviewed the budget as well. I watched the commission meetings. I've watched all the budget workshops.
Watched for 8 hours the commission.
Ooh, yeah. There's been a couple mornings. I wake up for work on Friday and I'm like, why am I so tired?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was up till 1 a.m.
Yeah, 1 a.m. Yeah.
So there's a lot of that is essential. I'd say a majority of it is essential services that we can't afford to cut and then simultaneously try to incite or entice investors. I'd be remiss to invest $1 million in a county that has underfunded police and fire and first responders. Yeah. I'd be afraid that my business would be broken into or burned down. So or have poor curb appeal or poor infrastructure. So those services are critical. But you kind of nailed the issue is we just need to bring in more revenue. And obviously I would love to, I've heard it talked about, I would love to have an earnings tax in Wyandotte County for people who live in Missouri or in other counties. Unfortunately, as things stand today, that is a state level issue. It would be unlawful for the county to. So
you have to just go up to state.
You'd have to convince the state.
Well, let's just do that.
There's been efforts in the past. There've been efforts. There's a lot of pushback from neighboring counties, as I understand it. But that's another initiative I'm behind. If I'm elected commissioner, I'm happy to travel to Topeka and have those conversations and explain to them why this is so important for our community.
Yeah, I feel like we need. Not every avenue we should take, but we need to explore multiple options of how to bring in more money to Wyandotte County in the right way. Because we don't need every development. We need the right type of development.
Right. We need developments that are going to work for the community in the same way that the community works for the development. Because make no mistake, these developments, they benefit from being here as well.
Sure, yeah.
You know, electricity, comparatively speaking, is cheap in the Midwest, particularly in Wyandotte County. They're centrally located with a hardworking base of employees. They drive on our roads. They use our utilities. There's a benefit for them as well.
Yeah.
So it's just finding that balance that allows us to, you know, bring in revenue and allows them to flourish in like a way that we both kind of see the benefit of the deal, benefit of the bargain. I'm very, my philosophy is very much in any deal, in any negotiation, we can find a solution that works for everybody.
Yeah.
It's just doing the work and having the hard conversations.
So you mentioned better infrastructure, and I know that's highlighted on your campaign issues too, or your campaign things you want to deal with. So what does that mean?
So right now, we do a lot of, I'd call it reactive servicing to infrastructure. So fill potholes as they become due or as they're reported and are created. I'd like to see a more proactive approach to infrastructure. So investing in our infrastructure, not only roads, but let's remember sewers and sidewalks as well. Investing in that infrastructure and preventative maintenance, because on the short term, you know, that's more expensive, but in the long term, that saves us money because we don't have to spend so much time, our UG employees' time and effort and money in remediation and just keeping it up, like keeping it safe, essentially. So where we're doing just pothole servicing right now, I'd love to see repavements.
Yeah.
You know, where we're doing well, a lot of the sidewalks, especially on the hill, as you know, they've seen better days. I would love to see, and that's difficult for our community that like pregnant women or people who have difficulty moving. That impacts them as well. So these types of proactive approaches to infrastructure that allows us to keep it working for us longer so we get more bang for our buck. That's kind of what I'd like to see happen with our infrastructure. And a lot of it,
No, you're good. Keep
a
going.
lot of it, you know, is frankly because of where we're at in our budget that we just don't have the resources to do that today.
Yeah.
So we need, you know, to get to that point, it goes back to increasing that revenue, increasing that income stream for the county, but not in a way that prices out the people who have built their lives here.
Yeah.
So it's a fine balance, but we cannot do it to the detriment of our community as well.
Yeah, because I'm seeing, and I don't know how true this is, but I see posts and stuff like people are like, they got to move out of their house because they can't afford
I've seen
to
that
live
as well.
here.
Yeah. I've heard, you know, when I go out and meet people, I hear those stories.
Yeah.
And that any person who loses their home because of they're not able to afford increased taxes, for example, every one of those is a tragedy. And so we can't push the envelope too hard that we're pricing people who live here out.
Yeah.
Another thing I would love to see in place, but we can't do it because of state law, is I'd love to see an age cap on who gets their property tax increased.
Yes. I'm surprised that we don't do that here.
Unfortunately, in Wyandotte County, we cannot because that's a Topeka issue. It's a state of Kansas issue.
Go talk to the state.
I agree. So I hear a lot of people, and I get a lot of questions about why don't we do these things? And I explain, you know, I promise you, everybody on the commission would love to do that. We legally, we are not allowed to at this point.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know that. Too.
That part. Well, and to be fair, I've read the statute, so I'm like, okay, I know it just from my day to day. Yeah, just from from my attorney background. But you know, even my family, and I've got attorneys in my family, very intelligent. They've asked me these questions as well. So it's not just the attorney background. It's just. Because it seems like such a no-brainer on some of these issues. Well, if people are losing their homes when they're on a fixed income because they're retired, why don't we just stop raising their taxes?
Yeah.
Not allowed to.
That's crazy.
I agree.
See, I didn't even know that. Yeah.
That's one of those kind of I learned that early on in this campaign, and that's one of the things that keeps me going. Is, you know, if I'm an elected, obviously I can go to Topeka today. I could talk to my representatives. I can get up on the floor and tell them why this is so important. If I'm an elected official coming from Wyandotte County,
looks a lot better.
Carries a little more weight. So that keeps me going. Is just that long term, keeping these long term goals in mind as well.
So going back to development, and I know you've probably been asked this, but because I live out west, and I know a big topic has been like that data center,
right?
And like I guess you don't have to say where you stand on it, but like what kind of development would you want out there if it's not the data center? Because I get why people don't want it, and I get why people do want it. It's the biggest development in the state of Kansas that would ever be here.
Right.
But it also, it's going to be an eyesore, and it's all a lot of other, negative implications on it. So I kind of go back and forth on it, but I really don't want it in my backyard either. But it's like, I guess, what do we do with something like that?
So something like that, I think it's important to not write off an opportunity just because, there's a lot of information about data centers. There's also a lot of misinformation about the data centers. I had to do a kind of a crash course on what a data center was and how it functioned, in preparation for the zoning vote. I read I believe it was the 89-page data center proposal. I read through it, and a lot of those terms were new to me, so I had to go look up what a closed circuit cooling system is for a data center and how that works. What I'll say is that a development that would be on land that I believe right now produces approximately $50,000 a year in property tax. The data centers are projected to produce $12 to $15 million a year in property tax.
Jesus.
I'm not going to dismiss it based on someone's opinion on it, I guess. As an attorney, obviously I work in facts. I work in what is the meat and potatoes of the issue. So I want to understand how it will impact the community. I want to understand the health risks that have been discussed and compare what's happening in Wyandotte County with some of the other data centers. Virginia actually has, I think, the most in the country per state. So I've been doing a lot of research into those communities as well. But I can't in good faith dismiss that kind of investment into our community that would go to roads and would go to critical services and infrastructure. I can't dismiss it whole cloth. I'm open to any investment. I'm open to listen to any investment.
I'm not asking you to vote on it right now.
No, I understand. I understand. I'm open to listen to any investment that I believe is going to benefit Wyandotte County. And that kind of influx of cash would benefit Wyandotte County.
Yeah, $12-15 million would go along.
And market rate electricity. They'd pay the same rate that you pay at the shop for BPU. So that kind of economic stimulus we at least need to consider.
So, being the son of a former police officer, you kind of grew up in the law enforcement kind of being world. How did that impact you? How does that impact you now? And I guess running for commissioner at large, having kind of the law enforcement, kind of growing up, your dad being law enforcement. My dad was law enforcement. I was law enforcement. So I'm sure that you care a lot about public safety too.
Absolutely.
So
what I can, how does it impact me now? I'll tell you what, my dad always told me when I was growing up, if you get in trouble in this county, I will know it before you know it.
100%.
And you know exactly.
I got a ticket one time, and before I even called my dad, he called me. I was like, oh, come on.
I didn't get a ticket, but I may have been speeding on Donahue one day, and I saw a cop. He didn't pull me over, and I was like, phew. I got a call from my dad, and he said, "Hey, I just heard your name on the radio. You better slow down." So I think that police officer knew that it'd be worse to hear it from my dad. But law enforcement's role in the community it's critical, right? We love them or hate them. We cannot live without them. No community can operate without law enforcement. I think our law enforcement does a very good job of having public, events, being present and visible in the public. I really believe that when you have a positive first encounter with law enforcement, it tends to kind of remove a lot of that fear and hesitation when you have a chance to meet them at a non-stressful situation. For example, at the 100-year Memorial Hall, they were out there. They had their kind of mobile trailer that has games like PlayStation in it. So you're a kid, you meet a police officer for the first time, and you have a chance to talk to him. You realize they're people just like me, and that kind of removes a lot of that I don't want to say fear, because it's not necessarily fear, but that
the negative stereotypes.
That aversion, I suppose. And I'll commend Sheriff Soptic. I heard him speak last week at a forum, and I've heard him speak a couple times. They've done, since he was elected, they've done over 200 public events. Getting out in public, being visible, to answer questions, or to volunteer in service. So, but what does that how has that impacted my campaign growing up with a police officer dad? It's really, you know, he really instilled in me a sense of duty, duty for your community and for your neighbor, you know. So just never being too busy or too proud to sit down with anybody, regardless of their political affiliation, if they're voting for me or not voting for me, at least have a discussion. You know, that's so important, and that's how you build community at a local level. I've had discussions with people that I know are not voting for me, but their concerns and their opinions are as valid as my voters. So it's important for me to at least discuss with them and maybe kind of dispel some misunderstandings and explain to them, you know, my vision, right? So I'd say if nothing else, then that duty and that commitment to serve your community, that's kind of, I'm trying to instill that in my campaign. Obviously, I'm just running for office. I'm not out there patrolling the streets, so it doesn't compare. I'm not responding to fires. So, but just trying to take that same mentality of we're here for the community, and take that to every event I go to and to every conversation I have.
Good. So from the outside looking in, what problems do you see that you kind of want to like fix? Like, because like you see like all of us, like kind of what's going on with the commission and the county and stuff like that. What are some of the first issues you kind of want to deal with when you get in?
So I think one of the first issues I want to tackle is small, like we talked about earlier, small business access. That's high on my list because I think a lot of those are very low effort, high reward. You know, the commission passed an ordinance to lift the parking restriction east of 635 to open a small business. That, you know, initiatives like that, that we can get through that. That doesn't seem like a big deal, but on average, to open a small business, you need, I mean, as you know, you need a certain amount of parking spaces. If you don't have that in front of your...
And then every type of business needs a certain amount of parking spaces.
So if you don't have that in front of your building, you have to lease that. And, you know, I heard as much as $500 a month just to lease parking. So that's an issue that doesn't seem like it has a large impact, but that has a large impact on...
Small business owner,
For a small business owner. But beyond some of those low-hanging fruit, so to speak, I really want to do a deep dive in our budget. And we have the budget. I would love it to be a line item breakdown so we can track exactly where our money's going, not to try to cut our way out of our spending issues, just to understand how we're spending money, where we can maybe spend money more efficiently. Because again, we need to balance our critical services with the people already living here, and we can't tax folks out of their homes. So there's work to be done in just understanding the budget and then making sure that budget's adhered to. And I think we can do a lot of work on the contracting part of our budget. So we contract out a lot of our services, obviously. I'll give you a quick example. At the courthouse, you know, we have, I don't have the exact numbers. I had this written down for something last month, so it's a little hazy. But it's like we have I want to say around 17 security guards, and of those we have to contract out maybe half of the positions, and you know, things like that. What can we do to find those other 7 security guards and pay them as UG employees instead of hiring them at a higher rate outside? So efficiencies, just finding efficiencies is what I want to do. And then beyond that, I'd love to provide tax relief, but a lot of that is going to be longer term. A lot of that, like we talked about, we need to bring people here to invest and spend their money here to kind of grow the tax base. But also, there are some things we can do with our infrastructure today even, I believe. So the most critical areas, I mean, I can go up to Topeka the day after I'm sworn in and say, here's why we need this federal money. Here's why we need this state money. So really just kind of hit the ground running as hard as we can on a lot of these issues. And then accessibility is important too. Obviously, as someone who spent a lot of time in a wheelchair during cancer treatment, you don't think about how difficult it is necessarily to get around.
Access places,
I'd love to see benches at bus stops for pregnant women, for elderly, for people who maybe can't stand for long periods of time or can't sit on the curb. So those are some of the things I really want to hit hard in my first days. And then really as we achieve some of those, dive into those more long-term issues like development, like tax relief, like examining the assessment process on our homes, things like that.
Yeah. So I know there was a hot topic just recently that kind of got vetoed, the homelessness ordinance. I guess my question to you would be, how would you like help fix like the homeless population we have here? Because I know they kind of tried to make it illegal, I guess to say, like write tickets, but like I feel like there has to be another like problem, or not problem. There has to be another solution to help fix that.
Right, and I believe, you know, as I understand it, it would fine illegal camping, as they called it, homelessness.
Yeah, but then you're finding them, but they don't have any money. So
exactly. That was
not helping.
It seemed very circular to me.
Yeah.
And really, I didn't like it because, first of all, finding people that have no money, then potentially throwing them in jail. That's additional strain on our sheriff's department and our jail services.
The county's paying for that.
That's on the county's dime.
Yeah,
and the jail is understaffed as it is
and overpopulated.
Yep. So, I think that it didn't get to the core issues and the kind of the root causes of homelessness. So, I didn't really see the point.
Yeah.
Especially because of what we just talked about. They don't have money to pay the fines.
Yeah.
The jails, I'd rather our police and sheriffs be focused on violent crimes, homicides, and property damage than illegal camping.
Yeah.
So how do we solve that? You know, if I had the entire answer, I
know you don't.
But I think, you know, one step in the right direction is really empowering the groups that work with homeless people in the community, but whether it be providing housing services, providing mental health services. You know, the KCK Housing Authority, they do great work for not necessarily homeless people, but for people who are housing insecure. So really empowering those organizations that have that infrastructure and are already doing that work in our community.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, if I could solve the entire problem, I'd be great in the Senate.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw that come up, and I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense, because I worked in the jail, and it's like, and you always see, like, you know, the people come in that they get brought in for warrants or stuff like that, but they don't have any money, and then you're getting a new charge on them, like trespassing or something. And then they're going to stay in jail, and then they're going to have a warrant for that because they don't have enough money to go to court or have an attorney or do anything. So it's just like a cycle.
Then they're going to skip their court date. They get a warrant for that.
Yeah, and they're just going to constantly just be in and out of the system. Like, that's not making it better for anyone.
Well, and as you know, housing people in jail is expensive. It costs a lot of money. There are a lot of things. Just a quick sidebar for the listeners. There are a lot of things that are statutorily by state law required that we provide, and those things cost money.
Yep.
So we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the personnel, and it's kind of it's futile in a lot of cases because they don't have money to pay fines anyway. So we're not even generating any type of revenue from it.
We're just costing more money.
Yeah, but I'd like to see a more holistic approach. Let's approach the homeless population with mental health support, with job security, you know, job training, or, you know, understanding how to do an interview, for example. There's a great group in Wyandotte County. Their name escapes me right now, but they train people who are housing insecure on how to perform in job interviews. So housing, mental health, job skills, empower them with the tools they need, drug treatment as well.
Finding the right programs.
The right programs, yes.
So, and with this, because I didn't realize that we sped through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no. Why should someone vote for you?
So
that's like the $1 million question.
It's the $1 million question, and this is my first time running for office, so I get that question, and I'm still like, God, it feels so braggy, but
you got to brag.
You got to brag. You have to. You're right. People should vote for me because, you know, I've faced adversity in my life. I've overcome adversity. I believe that Wyandotte County's better days are ahead of us, but we need the right leadership to get us there. You know, I've come from a legal background. I'm not intimidated by hard problems. In fact, that's kind of what I spend my days working through is nuanced legal issues. I'm born and raised in Wyandotte County. I understand the character of this community. I understand the people who live here because I've lived here. My family's lived here. I mean, my wife, everybody in my orbit is born and raised in Wyandotte County. I understand Wyandotte County, and I understand the culture here and the perception of Wyandotte County. I think I can go into the commission and really get us results. I don't want to harp on it, but like I said, I am no stranger to hard conversations. I've litigated, I've negotiated, and I understand the law. Mm-hmm. I understand the limitations on certain things, what we can and can't do. But more importantly, I understand who we need to convince to change the laws that limit us from implementing things like an earnings tax.
Yeah.
So I'm educated, and I bring an even-headed, pragmatic approach to governance, and I really want to be an accountable, available commissioner who will answer your calls, who's not just showing up during election year, who's involved in the community, because this is where I live. This is, being involved in the community is just living here. So I think that's why you should vote for me. If you'd be so inclined to vote for me, I'd be honored. My website is kump4wyco.com. Sorry, I'm doing the plugs.
No. I was going to ask you that anyway, so I'm glad you're doing it now.
That's KUMP, the number 4, wyco.com. Andrew Kump, running for District 2 at large. And I want to reiterate this because we've gotten a lot of questions about it. It is a county-wide election. If you live in Wyandotte County,
you can vote.
I will be on your ballot. You can vote. And let's, speaking of voting, let's get our voters out.
Yeah, we have low turnout.
Wyandotte County has low turnout. Historically, we have low turnout. Let's shake that image. I really, I believe we can do great things if we get out and really vote.
We got 80, 90,000 registered voters, and we have 10 to 12,000 people to come out and vote.
In the primary of our 90-ish, 96 or something like that, registered voters, 1,000, we had about 12%. So let's get out. Let's tell your family and friends, vote for me, don't vote for me, but go out and vote. Let's get that number up.
So last question. It's my favorite question. What's your favorite thing about Wyandotte County?
That's such a hard question. So
you can name like 7. It's fine.
I'm going to have to. I'll tell you, I'll start with my favorite park. My favorite place to spend time is St. John's Dog Park. And before there was the park, it was just the overlook. Beautiful view.
Beautiful
view. My wife and I, we take our dogs there about every day. And just, it's great for the dogs. It's great for us because it's community. It's building community. My favorite thing about Wyandotte County, I think it's just, we're so unique. We're one of the few counties in the entire country that is what they call a minority-majority county. Yeah. It's diverse, and diversity is beautiful. I mean, you can go down to Central or Minnesota and get food as good as you can get anywhere in South America. It's got some of the best culture, some of the best bars, the hidden gems, and it's up, it's up and coming still.
Oh, yeah.
I really think, we've still got a lot of work to do, but Wyandotte County is just, it's such a cool place, for lack of a better way to describe it. I've never wanted to live anywhere else. I never am going to live anywhere else. And just, the people, man.
Yeah.
It comes down to the people. People like you who've invested their money and their time and their energy into this community and make it a cool spot.
Yeah,
man.
no other place.
No other place, man.
Wyco's my home, man.
Original dot, yeah.
Original dot, yeah. I love it. I love it here. That's why I wanted to put Wyandotte County back on the map. And I hope that, if you get into office that you were able to do the same. So
that's the goal, man. Let's put Wyandotte County back on the map. Yeah. Let's make it a place people want to be.
Yeah.
So
that could be your new slogan. I'll take 10 cents from every dollar you make.
Okay, we'll make sure we'll get the royalty waiver worked out off camera.
Yeah, we'll do the contract. You're well versed to that.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, I appreciate you coming out, man. Like it's been an honor to actually kind of sit down and get to know you.
It's been great, and I thank you, Mike, for having me. I know I've come in a few times and we've talked briefly in passing, but you're a busy man. I don't want to interrupt you, but it's been great to really sit down and just have a conversation with you and keep doing what you're doing. These local, we lack a local newspaper per se. So these local educational resources are so critical to our community.
Yeah, I try to get not everybody, as many people as I can get on that are from Wyandotte County and that have like a voice that should be heard.
Right.
So.
Yeah, man, it's cool.
I'm trying.
It's cool, man. Keep it up.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And tell people when they can vote.
Yeah, you can vote. You can start. I'll start with this. The last day to register to vote for the general is next Tuesday. If you are registered, double check your status just to be sure. If you're not registered, you have until next Tuesday to register. That's going to be, I don't know when this is going to come out. So that's going to be.
This comes out next Tuesday.
Okay, so today. Your last day to register is today. You can do it online. You can go to the Secretary of State's website and do it. And then for the actual election, early in person, I believe, starts October 25th. Election day is November 4th. You can get out and vote then. And obviously, you can request your mail-in ballots to vote from home if you're so inclined. You can request those now. So, yeah, get out and vote November 4th.
Vote. Yes.
Let's do it.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Strawberry Hill Podcast, and we will check you out next time.